In a world where entertainment is viewed as mindless diversion, only good for momentary distraction, one podcast has taken a stand, thoughtfully engaging the art of our day, dissecting the narrative, and pointing the people back to the greatest storyteller of all. You are about to enter a new world, and you will never view entertainment in the same way again. This is Popcorn Theology.
Welcome, movie lovers and theology nerds, to Popcorn Theology, where we examine films for where they align with the greatest story and our greatest storyteller, discussing what to receive, reject, and redeem for common ground, fruitful conversation, and mindful movie consumption. I'm James.
And I'm David, and welcome back to another series of our discussions in the lobby. And as a reminder, these are part of our exclusive content for our premium seating patron saints. And so we want to encourage you guys, if you're not, you're probably hearing a sampling of this, consider supporting us on Patreon for full access to the discussion. But for those who are, we greatly appreciate support. It's because of you guys that we can keep the show going and keep expanding into new territory like we're doing with this episode.
Ooh, for this series, we are discussing artificial intelligence, or AI, we'll just call it that for short, and looking at that in film. And we have two special guests with us, Bart Caylor and Zach Coffin. Welcome to the lobby, guys.
Hey, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's great to see you guys.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. And could you maybe start out by just telling our audience a little bit about yourselves, what it is that you do, and perhaps where people can go to learn more about your work?
Sure. I'm Bart Caylor, and I met David at Missouri Baptist University. I came and did a presentation on generative AI and how to use that. I did a kind of a faculty and service day just to kind of bring everybody up to speed. I'm the founder and president of Caylor Solutions. We're an education marketing firm, so do a lot of work in marketing and communications for higher education, and especially a lot of faith-based schools. And so that's one of the reasons that I was introduced at Missouri Baptist, was through some context there. And then also I'm the host of the Higher Ed Marketer podcast that we talk about marketing in the context of higher education. And that's a pretty broad one. Zach is a member of my team. And so Zach, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, I get the incredible privilege to work with Bart day in and day out. And so I work with Bart a ton on the higher ed marketer side. So the podcasts and the books and the AI trainings that we do, and then with some of the things on Caylor Solutions. And then I've been doing pastoral ministry for 20 years as well. And so I work with a ton of folks in the local church as well, doing coaching and consulting and a bunch of itinerant preaching and things like that. So it's a fun conversation when Bart and I get to tag team on theology and AI. It's a fun day. So thanks, fellas.
Nice.
Awesome.
Well, maybe for the layman, I know it almost seems dumb to kind of start out this way maybe, but could you briefly explain what AI is? I mean, I know most of what I know about AI. I've learned from movies. So what is AI, and what are the types of impact that it's having?
Okay, so I'm going to just kind of start off because I think that you're exactly right. That people say AI and immediately Terminator comes to mind, and they're like, I want nothing to do with that. I think that what it's a better way to look at it is, what we're talking about and what the big buzz around AI for the last 18 months has been is what's called generative AI. That's new. We've had AI around. The term artificial intelligence was actually coined in 1954. And so we've had AI around for a very long time. And you might not recognize it, but it's cruise control. It's Netflix when it suggests what movies you might like. It's what books Amazon would suggest that are recommended to you. That's all forms of AI. And even just like UPS and FedEx have used AI for years and years and years, how to optimize the routes so that, you'll never see a UPS truck turn left. It's always right. And the way they optimize their entire route is through AI. Now the changes happen.
Bart, you're
Yep.
saying
There it was. I was waiting for it.
you're saying they've already taken over?
They have already taken over. But I think that's a really good point. So
all we have to do is set up some roadblocks so they have to turn left, and they won't be able to get past.
That's exactly
so FedEx drivers can never do NASCAR. Exactly. They only know how to go right.
That's what I was thinking. It's the opposite of NASCAR.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. But I think that the point is that what changed 18 months ago was OpenAI introduced what's called ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is what's called a large language model. It's basically they've taught computers how to learn. And what they've done is they've allowed these computers to start learning on massive data sets. And so when you show a computer a sunset 1,000,000 times and then say, we want a pattern, we're teaching you how to recognize a pattern, it's going to say, you want a sunset? I know what a sunset looks like. I can draw you a sunset. I can give you a video of a sunset because I know that, because I've learned that. And so that's what we're dealing with today, is this idea that now the computers have gained an ability to learn and to learn patterns. And so everything about AI, it's just another tool. It's a tool that is exploring how those patterns work, and it can do it extremely fast. And so when you can say, hey, I need you to write me this blog post about this, it understands what a blog post is. It understands the subject. It understands this, and it's just going to do a pattern basically to reply to you on that. And so I like to often tell some people in my sessions, I have them raise their hand. How many have ever used spell check? Well, everybody raises their hand. How many people have ever used a grammar check? Everybody raises their hand. This is just the next iteration of another tool that is in the toolbox for us. Now, the thing is, it's going to be disruptive because it's going to be in everything that we do. And it's already starting to come into that. I mean, Microsoft already has launched Copilot, which is basically ChatGPT 3.5 into all their products. And so if you're using a Microsoft subscription and you see Copilot down in the corner, it's not Clippy, it's ChatGPT 3.5. And so there's some power that's going to be introduced. A lot of people are not even going to realize they're using AI because it's going to be integrated into everything we do.
So did Clippy get a good retirement package?
I'm not sure Clippy saw the best of anything. So.
Bring Clippy back, man. Come on. Bring him back.
Good stuff. Well, thank you. That's very helpful. I think that you're right. AI is one of those concepts that is certainly not that new, but has been tremendously discussed lately. It's in the limelight, and as you know, of course.
I think I'm sorry, David.
No,
to your point, James, I just wanted to kind of tie the bow back around what you said. I think that AI, even though it's a big part of our lives and we don't realize it, it has this mystique and this understanding based on what Hollywood has said about AI. And so that's where I think a lot of times people get stuck, or there's a stumbling block in, is it right to use ChatGPT? There's a lot of misconceptions around generative AI. A lot of it comes from the misunderstandings of how it's done. It's not just copying and scraping the web and serving it back up to you. And it's not, having a mind of its own. It's not like, some conspiracy theory where, next time that, that Apple Maps comes up on my phone because it recognizes a pattern that I've taken the same route 87 times in the last 30 days. And it knows that, I recognize the pattern. I'm going to serve up a map to you. It's not that somebody in DC is watching you and saying, they're going to go to Target today. I'm going to show them the map. It's not that at all. And so I think it's important that we understand that there's a lot of things going on that are not to the level of what we see in the movies.
Gotcha. Yeah. So not HAL 3000 necessarily.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, people get nervous when we start talking about how it integrates with humanity too, right? Like, it's one thing how we implement AI into our day-to-day lives. And then because of the Hollywood portrayals of like, how does it actually affect our humanity and what does it mean to be human? Those are those places where people really start to begin to get really, really nervous when you're talking about AI integration into hardware, which then integrates into your body and those types of things. Like, you have these like multiple tiers of like, okay, what does it look like for day-to-day use with chat and those types of things? But when it start talking about medical devices and things like that, Neuralink, that's where our Hollywood fear starts kicking in really, really quickly. So it's really, it's interesting.
Yeah. And certainly a lot of media, I think biotech is maybe the best example. We did an episode a little while ago on Gattaca. And then, of course, we've covered the Jurassic Park movies, pretty much all of them at this point. And biotechnology similarly gets a bad rap in the movies, and it often gets portrayed as far more powerful than it actually is. And so as someone who knows a little bit about biotechnology, I watch these movies and I'm just like, no, yes, no, maybe, totally. But mostly, it's, I understand that what makes a compelling story is often different from what is actually portrayed in reality. And so speaking of compelling stories, go ahead, James.
Wait. I just know all the way back from War Games to one of the most recent movies, The Creator. It's always that they're coming for our nukes. The robots keep coming for the nukes, right? Like that.
There's a theme to that, isn't there?
That's what it always seems to go there. It's like they're going to take over. They're going to take the nukes and they're going to blow us up. Usually because they figured out that we're the most dangerous thing on the planet and are better off without us. So, but we got to circle back at least at some point and address, is that realistic? So.
Sure. Absolutely.
Sorry, David, back to
no,
you.
You're good. That's the thing. This being popcorn theology, of course we're going to get to how these themes intersect, but breaking it up into units, into those pieces is a little bit different. One thing that I was interested in, I did a little bit of an experiment. It's easy to think of AI as just the internet, right? And so just yesterday, actually, James and I recorded our episode on the Fall Guy that will have released a couple weeks ago by the time this drops. And so go check that out if you haven't. And I was curious. So I just asked ChatGPT, hey, what are some theological themes in the Fall Guy? And it didn't know what the movie was somehow because it didn't have internet access, apparently, or didn't access that database. And so it didn't know what the movie was about, but it did come up with a list of theological themes based on the terms the Fall Guy that were actually pretty darn good. If you ask somebody, to wing it in front of an audience in answering a question, this is the kind of thing you might expect them to come up with. So I thought that was pretty intriguing.
We hope you enjoyed this first episode of our In the Lobby series. To watch future episodes, click the link in the description to support us on Patreon and become a patron saint. Subscribe on YouTube for more content, follow and interact on social media to share with others, and remember, you are not a mindless consumer.